Tune in to the Real Estate Roundup with the River Counties Association of Realtors. Join us every last Thursday of the month at 12 p.m. on Fiesta 99.1 and every Saturday at 8:30 a.m. on the Mix 104.1 as we explore the latest in real estate. Whether you're buying, selling, or just love real estate, don't miss our expert advice and exclusive insights. So grab a cup of coffee, sit back, and let's explore the dynamic world of real estate in our vibrant River Counties community. Catch Real Estate Roundup and make your property dreams a reality. Welcome to the River County Association of Realtors Real Estate Roundup. And today our guest again is Lisa Calfee.
Hello
how are
there.
you?
Doing great.
So glad to have you back here on the airwaves, and got some good things to talk about that hopefully will help everybody understand the market and what we're going through right now.
Yeah, absolutely. We're 2 months down almost.
Yep.
So we're starting to really get a feel for what 2025 hopefully is going to hold.
Right, definitely. And so let's jump into it. How would you describe the current market right now for buyers? Let's talk about the buyer side first a little bit. And, what should they expect out there? What are they seeing?
I think that what the big key right now with buyers is that we have inventory. We have houses to choose from. So we've got more houses in that price range under $300,000 than I've seen in several years.
Okay.
So we've got houses to choose from. So when you're going out, you're not just looking at two houses and having to pick from what's out there and just say, well, I really don't like this, but I need something, so I'm going to have to go with something.
Sure.
Buyers are having an opportunity to really try to look for what they want, and be able to have some comparison homes to choose from.
Okay.
That's kind of a shift.
Yeah.
Because for a long time, ever since about 2018-ish,
Right.
You just didn't have that. It wasn't a matter of choice. It was a matter of need. And if something came in the location you needed and it was big enough, it'll do.
Right.
And so now people can actually, make their list of wants, check some of those things off, and be able to get some of those things in what they're looking at.
Yeah, and have a little bit of time to breathe.
Have a little time to think it over,
Yeah.
not have to rush in, and then the buyers are not having to battle as much with multiple offer situations.
Sure.
We're just not seeing that as much right now. We're seeing that buyers are able to get some what we call concessions from the seller.
Okay.
So when you're purchasing a home, we'll break this down a little bit for those
Sure.
that may not have. When you're purchasing a home, there's going to be what's called closing costs.
Right.
Some of those costs will encompass the taxes and title policies and different fees that the lender has.
Right.
And so those fees are going to be brought to the closing table by the buyer. And, it could be 3 or 4% or more of the purchase price. So let's just say you're buying a $300,000 house. There might be $9,000 plus in closing costs for that purchase. And you as a buyer, you've got to bring your down payment, so whatever that percent is,
Right.
and then typically you're going to bring those closing costs as well. And so we are seeing the ability to ask for some or all of that with the offer to the seller and negotiate that. For a long time, sellers weren't willing to pay any of that for a buyer,
Right.
and a buyer had to come to the table with more cash on hand, because in a seller's market where a seller can pretty much name their price, why would they give up some of the money that they're going to walk away with by paying those closing costs?
Right.
So we're seeing that buyers can take a little bit of a breath there too, and maybe not have to come up with so much money at the closing table.
Right.
And they can bring their down payment, maybe just a little bit of extra.
So if a buyer's tight on their funds, you can help them negotiate. You would help negotiate that in the contract for the seller to kind of contribute to their closing costs and kind of ease that burden a little bit for them.
Ease that burden.
Yeah.
Ease that burden. I mean, we're in a tight. We're everybody's tight right now,
Yeah,
right?
sure.
Eggs are $8 a carton.
Yeah,
What are
right.
you doing?
Yeah.
So savings may not be a plenty with the majority of people, and so that helps kind of ease that a little bit, because here's the reality: we want home ownership to be possible for everyone.
Sure.
And if nowadays, when I'm thinking back to whenever I got out of high school, and I thought that $4.75 an hour was like the lottery,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I was like $250 a week. Oh my word, what am I
Right.
going to do with all this money? And so now it's barely getting by.
Yeah.
When you're making $35,000 a year. to even have enough money to squeeze out of there for a house payment. And so the savings, you may not have it in your budget to be able to save any
Right.
money, other than your down payment. So that kind of helps buffer that. And then there's loan programs that can help with that too.
Sure.
But that negotiation piece of being able to potentially negotiate a seller to help with some of that cost is something we're seeing now, so more than what we were seeing in the last few years.
Well, which is good. And that's basically getting us back to a more stabilized market.
It is.
Because what's gone on has not really been the norm.
And we couldn't sustain that.
Right.
Like you can't sustain that. It's like riding on rough seas in a cruise ship.
Yep.
There's only so much of that you can tolerate before the ship takes a beating, the staff take a beating, and everybody's had enough.
Yep.
And so when we have a market where we're consistently seeing that it's all either seller focused or buyer focused, and it's not a balanced market, at some point the ship is going to right. And we're starting to see that turn a little bit.
So you would say we're starting to see more of that balanced market come into play little by little?
Little bit of a balanced market. We're seeing more inventory numbers that are normal.
Yeah.
We're seeing that the price year over year, the price going up and appreciating is not as much as it was. And those things are leveling out, which just creates that balance.
Yeah. And you need that balance because, like you said, you can only sustain things for so long and then it comes crashing down, where then you got a bigger hole to climb out of at some point because of what's been done. So,
absolutely.
And so what do you think are the biggest challenges right now that buyers are facing in the market, and how can they overcome things? I mean, what's your advice to them of what they should be looking out for and,
I think what I am seeing is affordability is it's a real issue.
Sure.
It's a real issue. So I look at different aspects of buying, and you have those people that are trying to buy something, and 5 years ago, or maybe a little more than that, affordable was probably, $250. And now affordable is $150 because all factors play in.
Right.
So when your interest rate goes up, then you can spend less on the house to get the same house payment. And our wages have not increased to balance that out.
Balance it out, yeah.
And I feel like that's a huge hurdle for buyers. And it's your everyday people that are trying to get into a house. And we were able to say for a long time, it's much more economical and cheaper than rent to purchase a home. Well, those kind of have balanced out to be about the same now too. And so, the advantage to buying a home is obviously it's going to be yours and you're building equity. So that's the smart move. But I'm seeing where it's hurting our population of some of those people that are trying to retire and downsize. And maybe they don't have a huge budget. You're living on a fixed income. There's not a lot of homes out there that are what we would deem affordable homes. And I've got several buyers I'm working with right now, and bound and determined we will find something. and I see the disappointment on their faces when the houses we go in that are in their price range and they need a lot of work. Because of where we're at in the marketplace. And I, as a mom of kids that are in that range where they're going to be buying homes and they're starting their families and so forth, it pains me for them. And it also, pains me for my elderly parents that would really need something more manageable, but they're on their Social Security income. So it's a two-edged sword. So I think that's the biggest hurdle I see right now is what we hear on the news too, is affordability. How do we combat that? Well, I am hopeful that we have builders that are going to focus their attention on building some more affordable homes as opposed to, the big gigantic homes I think are going to start to be something that you're not going to see as much of. They're more expensive to build. The buyer pool is not as large.
Shrinking.
So you're going to see, the homes that are being built maybe are a little smaller, but a little bit more affordable. And I'd love to see some communities start to come up that make that dream of home ownership possible.
Right.
I think for buyers, one thing to remember is it's not a one size fits all when it comes to a mortgage. And we did a mortgage lender guest with our last show, and she shared some of the things that they have that are zero down programs,
Right. Yep.
Programs that have some assistance with like THDA is one in Tennessee where you can get some of your closing costs paid. And so that is something to think about when you're a buyer, is look at all the programs that are out there. Right?
Yep.
Because be open-minded to whatever box fits you that's going to be the most economical investment for you to make. And I always tell my buyers, is this home your forever home?
Right.
And most of the time they're not buying their forever home, and they're like, no. Okay, well then can you see yourself living here for 5 years? Okay, yeah. I can see myself living here for 5 years. So what you're doing is you're making an investment that you can later turn around and then size up and go to the next stage of home that you want that might be your dream home.
Right.
And so buyers kind of shifting their focus from I got to have it all right now to I can get this and I can turn this into what I want it to be for now, and then I can sell that, and then I can get something different later. And so I encourage buyers to have an open mind about your wish list. Maybe narrow it down to the 5 things that are the most important.
Right.
Because a lot of times buyers come in and they say, hey, I want 5 acres and I want to fence it in for horses. And then I want a, 3-bedroom, 2-bath house that was built 3 years ago. And I really just want to pay $300,000 for it. And I'm honest with them and I say, that's not going to be in your price point because acreage is a hot commodity.
Sure.
Everybody would love to have acreage. But what could we do that would fit there? What things could we mark off your list that aren't a have to, that's not a non-negotiable, that maybe we can get you where you want to be and comfortable, and yet you can look forward down the road to having all those things later.
Yeah.
So for buyers, I just encourage you to make sure you're using the right loan program, make sure you're investigating all of them, have an open mind in your search for your wants and needs to match the price point.
Right.
And you always have to have a good agent to work with, because that agent's going to do their skill set of negotiating for you to make sure you can get the best bang for your buck.
And you've been in it for a number of years, and obviously you can help them get in the right direction with the lenders, with the different programs, so they don't have to go at this alone, right?
No.
They can reach out to you, and then you can help put that in place for them to talk with the different lenders, figure out what loan program is best for
That's
them
right.
and moving forward.
As your agent, I'm your partner.
Yeah.
I'm your partner in this and making these goals happen. So that's why I wear my tool bag of all the people that I know and the people that I can share, great experiences with you as a buyer to say, hey, look, you might want to, talk to this person because they may have something that you would like.
Sure. No, it's great advice. Give everybody your contact info so they know where to reach you.
Absolutely. So Lisa Calfee, the Source Real Estate Group, my cell is 423-802-0875.
All right. So please reach out to Lisa. We still got half of our show here left, but Lisa will definitely get you in the right direction. So let's talk about mortgage rates. And affordability is an issue across the nation. So it's not just here in Tennessee, obviously.
That's right.
It's housing affordability. And as you said before, and I've said it, housing is a right, not a privilege, and everybody should be able to have a home. And, I know realtors such as yourself and our association, we're all trying to do what we can with the state and the legislatures to get that more affordable housing going. But what do you feel about interest rates? We're in that mid-6 range right now. What's your take on that? Because a lot of buyers, I think, hesitate, like, ooh, I better wait for it to come back to 4. Probably not going to see that,
not
right?
Going to see it. And, obviously we don't have a crystal ball. Wish we did.
Right.
We could predict what was going to happen. We'd all be, multimillionaires.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, we have to go with what we have now. And so, you may have heard date the rate,
right.
Marry the house, date the rate. Meaning if you get a rate now, and then later they go down, you refinance it, and it drops your rate. And so when you sit and you wait, what you're doing is you're rolling the dice, because they can just as easy go back up as they can go down.
Sure.
And so are the days of 2s and 3s gone? Yeah, they sure are, because that was lower than, right now we're at our 50-year average.
Yeah.
50-year average is where we're at. And there were plenty of times when double-digit interest rates lasted for years.
Oh, yeah.
And so, we are where we're at. And we've been right here for the last 2.5 years. So it's not going to go back. We're not having a crash. We're not doing all these things that you can sit back and wait for. But here's what I say. All we can do is make decisions on what information we have today.
Yep.
Cannot make a decision on what's happening down the road. And there's, like I said, there's great loan programs. You get in there now, especially, if you wait for the rate to drop, guess what you've also done? You've let the price go up.
Yeah, sure.
So that house that you wanted to buy in 2020 that you were like, oh, I love this house, but it's COVID and I don't want to do this right now. And everybody's, chasing after this house. Have you seen the price of that house come down? Right. No, it continuously goes up. So while you're waiting on the rate to go down, you're just shooting yourself in the foot because the price is going up at the same time.
Yeah. And it doesn't balance off equally either. So you're better off, get in. And we said it before. If it does come back to 4 or whatever crazy number, refinance it.
Yeah.
You're not stuck to that, and like you said, you just date the rate and you can always change that date. So
that's right.
So what's your advice on sellers with the market? What's the best strategies for them and pricing, to get these buyers now in? Because we are seeing less of the waiting outside of the house of 50 people long, and waiting to get in the house. So I'm a seller. I want to get in the market. What's your best advice for me and what would I do?
Patience. Okay. Word of the day, folks, is patience.
It's not going to sell in 10 minutes?
No, not 10 minutes.
Okay.
It might not sell in 10 days.
Right.
So here's where we're at. Average days on the market, we're still at about 45 days on the market. All that depends on, all the factors we've all known are the factors that will sell a house: location, condition, price.
Right.
Okay. So what I'm noticing is that we are having to I'm telling my sellers up front, here's the houses that you have on the market as competition.
Right.
Here's how many days they've been on the market, so that we can paint a clear picture of where we're at. So I'm seeing higher days on the market in higher price point homes. Okay. So let's just say things that are $500,000 and up. But oddly enough, which I'm still a little surprised, and I look at it daily and it still surprises me.
Sure.
I put a house on the market for $339, and we put it on 3 weeks ago, and we've pretty much just kind of had a showing here and a showing there. There's not been a day when it's been showing.
Right.
And in that price point, those houses in years past have just flown off the market.
Off the market, yeah.
But when I look at all the other houses in that price point and the other competition, there's like 27 other houses in that same price point. So we're all competing for the same set of buyers.
Right.
So again, they're going out and they're looking at maybe 10 houses and then they're thinking about it. And I'm noticing that buyers are not pulling the trigger.
Okay.
And so, for example, I have a house that has had steady showings. Beautiful home, beautiful setting on 5 acres. It's in North Georgia. It also has a man's dream garage. It's 5-bay detached garage that this gentleman built for his car collection. Absolutely to die for. Well, we've had a lot of showings. We've had wonderful feedback. We get feedback after people show it and they tell us, what did your buyers think? Nobody thought anything negative. But the most common feedback I have gotten is they love it, they're thinking about it.
Oh, yeah.
They love it, they're thinking about it. And so I'm seeing that buyers are not really making a decision like right then.
Right.
They're kind of waiting it out. They're kind of waiting to see, is anything else going to come on the market that
better.
I might like? Is the rate going to go down next week and I can grab it real quick? And so they're doing a lot of just kind of, I like it, but there's not a lot of motivation, I guess, is what it feels like. Okay. So I'm telling my sellers, listen, let's be realistic. Always, no matter what the market is, our first 10 to 14 days is the crucial time on the market. It's when everybody who has a setup search on Zillow and Realtor.com, the minute that your house hits the market, they're going to get a notification, a new home for sale in Cleveland, Tennessee. And so they're going to see it new. So we get one chance to make a first impression. So that's when we have to present the best pictures, the best everything. And that's when we have to be super available for people to come and see the house and to never turn down a showing. So now more than ever, the seller's not in the driver's seat. Like you've got to be open to people wanting to book a showing at the last minute and come, in 30 minutes and keep your house show ready. You can't take your guard down because you didn't have a showing in a week. You still got to get the kids to clean up before they go to school. You still got to make sure things are show ready, because that one buyer that you turned down, 99% of the time, they will not come back around. They're going to go on and they're going to see other houses and fall in love with another one and forget yours ever existed. And so we have to present everything in a perfect light from the word go. So with sellers, it's just understanding that we are in a very competitive market. So we are going to get some lowball offers, and don't get upset. Don't get offended. If you get $100,000 less than asking price, we just chalk it up, somebody up, they're trying to get a deal. And we say, all right, well, we'll entertain your offer. Here's our counter offer. And so, that is a lot of what we're seeing. People are making lowball offers. People are looking at things that are a little bit out of their price range, hoping that they can make an offer and get it in their price range. So that's another thing. But you've got to have some patience, because, as a realtor, I'm out here. I am marketing in all ways that I can possibly market. I'm holding open houses. People are coming to open houses. If you're out on a Sunday afternoon, a Saturday afternoon, and you go into an open house, you don't have to, call your agent to take you out. You can go and tour the house. If you're thinking about selling and you might want to go see some houses that are in the price point that you think your house is going to be on, then that'd get a good idea of what the competition looks like. And if you're thinking about selling, not now, but in 2 months, now's the time to call me and have me come out to your house. Because we got to look at what we need to do to get ready to sell.
Get you ready for the market.
Because you might be thinking, well, I'm just not going to worry about that last little thing I was going to do, because if I'm going to sell the house, I'm not going to do it. But that last little thing might be that one thing that pushes that buyer over the edge to actually making an offer on your house. And so, we are seeing that time on the market, so it is a little bit of patience. We are having sellers are making offers to purchase on the other side, contingent upon the sale of their house. And I've got a couple of those right now that are working out pretty well. And we couldn't do that
We didn't
before.
See that,
If you had the house to sell, you might as well forget it. But there is some leniency with that now. Sellers are understanding. So you don't, as a seller, feel so rushed that, oh my gosh, where am I going to go? Like, I've got to get this sold. What am I going to do? Where am I going to find a house to buy? You can ease your mind a little bit that if we put your house on the market, we're going to have some time to go ahead and look for you something, make that offer contingent upon yours selling. And you got to be flexible with your price. You got to price it right out of the gate. If I come in and I say, here's where I believe we should be priced, and you go, oh, well, I want $55,000 more than that. It's not always about what you want. It's about what the market can bear. And if the comparable sales don't support that, then we run into a whole nother problem with an appraiser. So,
and the comment you made, about sellers don't get offended when somebody comes at $100,000 and, you're asking $300,000. I've always educated my sellers, let's not be offended at the person that wrote the offer. Let's be offended at the people that looked at your house and didn't write an offer.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
If you got somebody that offered you $1, you now have something to negotiate.
That's right. And, so, I like you said, and when you get that first offer, the chances of your first offer being the best offer are very high. So negotiate, entertain it. Don't just kick it to the side. You've got a ready and willing buyer. So maybe they just like a deal. And so maybe they know that they're going to go way up on the price, but they just wanted to get in there and see, well, I wonder how much they will come down.
You don't know, buyer does not know the seller situation.
That's
Is it a stress sale? Is it a life-changing sale? What's the reason? You don't know until you make that offer. And there's nothing to be offended at, right? Because you can say yes, you can say no, or you can counter it.
And there's also another aspect to a seller. If you're a seller where you have gotten behind on your house payments or you're just struggling financially, don't give your house back to the bank.
Right.
You need to call me and let me try to sell your house and at least get you some equity out of your house.
Yeah.
Because there were forbearances done during 2020, and those had a lot of fees tacked on with them. And so you may think that you're underwater, but you may not be.
Right.
So don't just throw your hands up
and let it go.
Don't let it go.
Yeah.
You've got to do your best to take that piece of equity that you've got in your house, even if you can break even without a balance owed to the bank. That's still a win-win for you.
Yeah, I know, and that's great advice. Is don't throw in the towel just because you think you're up against it. Sometimes there's light at the end of that tunnel that you can help them get to that point. And
Yes.
don't leave the equity on the table and walk away from it.
Yeah,
So,
for sure.
in the last couple of minutes we have here, so what other specific advice for trends or anything else you see in the market that you think everybody should be aware of? And
I think whether you're a buyer or a seller, don't wait.
Okay.
Don't wait. We've got a lot of different things going on in our country right now.
Mm-hmm.
At any point in time, that could upset the apple cart.
Sure.
And financially, our financial system could just, topsy-turvy at any moment. So if you're thinking about selling or you're thinking about buying, take the next step. Get pre-qualified if you're a buyer, so you know how much you're armed with to go and buy. You know what program works good for you.
Yep.
If you're a seller, call me. Let's talk about what your home is worth. Let's make a plan.
Mm-hmm.
Don't sit and wait and continue to think about it. The longer you think about it, the more houses come on the market and the more competition is up against you if you're a seller. And if you're a buyer, you're risking that the interest rate may go up and not down.
Right.
So it's a great time right now to do any of those things, right? We are starting to feel warmer weather.
Spring market.
Yep. Everybody says, let's wait for the spring. Listen, you wait for the spring so that you can be competing against all the other 100 people that said wait for the spring. Get a jump on that before everybody else does.
Yeah, spring market in real estate is different than spring in the,
That's right.
typical springtime. The spring markets start January, February, March.
That's
because
right.
by the time you close, you're 60 days or 30 days past that. So a lot of people
Absolutely.
don't realize that. And it's a great point because people think, well, I'm going to wait till it gets warm and there's no chance of snow here or there's no rain or whatever. No, jump in and get it going.
Jump in, take the plunge and just go for it because there's plenty of houses to choose from. If you're wanting to sell, there will be something out there for you to buy.
Right.
And so the only thing that we don't have a great deal of is affordable land. Everybody wants land.
Yep.
And so it's out there. It's just going to take you a little longer to find it.
Do it.
But if you're wanting to buy a home, there's plenty to choose from. It's a great time to be buying, and it's a great time to be selling. A balanced market, in my book, is a great place to be.
Yeah.
It's great for both sides.
It's for everybody. Yep, definitely.
It's for everybody. It's not just swayed one side.
And it's healthy for the economy, too.
That's exactly right.
Give everybody your contact info here as we wrap up, just so they know again where to reach you.
Lisa Calfee with the Source Real Estate Group, 423-802-0875. Find me on Instagram and Facebook as well, and I am here to help you with all your real estate needs.
Lisa, once again, appreciate you coming in, sharing your insight and your expertise with everybody. And,
Thank you.
We got Lisa here, so please reach out to her and let her help you.
Absolutely. Thanks.
All right, thank you. Do you imagine a career with flexibility and limitless income potential? It's possible by becoming a Realtor. The River Counties Association of Realtors, located right here in Cleveland, Tennessee, is ready to help you unlock your potential. We're your go-to resource for guiding you to obtain your Tennessee real estate license. We're more than just realtors. We're a vital part of our community. Partnering with local charities, we work tirelessly to make a difference. Join the River Counties Association of Realtors today, where your career can thrive and community can too. Visit rivercounties.com or call 423-476-5912. Your new path awaits.